Hey everybody, thanks for coming. Looks like we have 14 people so far attending via webinar. We have a couple people in class here. We're getting everyone settled and we'll be starting right now. So if you haven't had a chance yet, please check your email. I did send out a PDF document of our agenda as well as some important links and things in there. It's great if you can pull that up, follow along. That way, if you want to take a look at the programs that we're going over or take a look at any of the websites that we recommend, then they're right there and you can click that link. So this is only the second webinar that we've done, so I apologize if we have any odd technical glitches or anything like that. Last webinar, I forgot to hit the record button. So this time we have record on. So far, so good. And I hope this is going to be informational and great for everybody. Looks like I have someone raising their hand here. All right. Hopefully everyone is all good. As you can see on my screen, we did put out a poll here. Oh, there it is. Hi, Monica. How are you? Thanks for saying hello. All right. So any questions that you have as we go here? Eric is sitting next to me. He's going to be taking a look at all the chats. Will you mute lines? Are you hearing other people, Marcia, or just hearing me? All right, so Eric is going to take care of anything that comes in via chat. Okay, sounds good. Yes, the Zoom screen will go away once I start showing you exactly what we are going to look at today. So I apologize for any confusion, guys. We're going to go ahead and get started here. Eric's going to monitor the chat, and we will go for it. Let me go ahead and get all this stuff out of the way. As you can see today, we do have 3 people on that own an Airbnb already. We have 5 that are looking to acquire an Airbnb, and we have 8 that have property but haven't started their Airbnb yet. So our goals for today are to walk you through the basics of managing your Airbnb listing, answer any questions you have, and hopefully have some fun, laugh about some stupid stories and things like that. So should be entertaining. Who am I? My name is Jake Cohen. I have 7 listings active on Airbnb. And I also co-host 3 other listings. I've hosted about 225 trips. I have over 200 5-star reviews. And I have been a super host ever since I started on Airbnb. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, did some work in hotels and management and hospitality. Currently, I'm a firefighter, but doing this on the side and having a great time with it. So hope I can share some knowledge with you today. Eric, who is sitting next to me, has a background in commercial real estate. He worked for a national vacation rental website and helped them with their property management. So why we're doing this is we just want to make this easier for everyone else that's getting started. We're hoping that at some point this turns into a business for us and we can monetize it. But as of now, basically, this is a hobby, and we're just hoping that you get good information out of this. We do have some affiliate links as part of this presentation. What that means is if you click on the link and purchase something through the website, whether it's software or something on Amazon, we may get a small portion of that money. It doesn't cost you any extra, but we may get a little something for it. So if you don't mind using the links that we have, we would greatly appreciate it. And maybe we can keep doing this for free. So a couple things about us. I'm going to go ahead and show you our website. Our website is mastervacationrentals.com. We're focused on basically everything to make your life easier starting in Airbnb. So what do we specialize in? We specialize in helping you get set up with your Airbnb, finding essential products, recommended services, and then we're also writing a bunch of articles. So check it out at some point. It's www.mastervacationrentals.com. We'd love it also if you hit us up on Facebook. Also Master Vacation Rentals, at Master Vacation Rentals on Facebook. Go ahead and join our group. We've also started what we like to call our independent owners group. You can see the link in the attachment that we sent out as well. So what are we going to go through tonight? Is there any questions we should talk about? Yeah. Okay, cool. What are we going to talk about tonight? We're going to talk about how to finalize a listing once you hit the go live button. It's a little weird, but the way Airbnb does it is they ask you for a lot of important information, and then once they say go live, there's actually 3 or 4 more things that you need to go back and do because they didn't ask you for that in the first place. So we're going to go through that. Benefits of offering a guidebook or a welcome book to your guests. Why automating emails to your guests is the best Airbnb hack around, and why we like to use smart pricing because pricing is complicated. All right, so let's start with Airbnb. Once you go live on Airbnb, what do things look like? So since I have a lot of listings, you can see that I have a long list here. I'm going to just pick one of these and show you an example. So this is my property, Alpenglow Chateau with deck and nice view, pets okay. So what you need to do once you hit that go live button is go through each of these tabs at the top of your page and make sure that everything is in here. I'm going to go through the main pieces. Those of you that attended our first webinar and meetup, we went through basically all of your click-by-click setup. So you're going to have all of your photos uploaded. Remember to include captions to increase your ranking on Airbnb. You're going to have your title and description in here, your rooms and guests, your amenities, location, your guest resources, which include your Wi-Fi and your Wi-Fi password. Obviously, this is one of the most important things. If you don't have great Wi-Fi at your Airbnb, get it. It's probably number 1 or number 2 of most important things when people are looking for an Airbnb. You can also see that there's a house manual listed here. So this is one of those things that they don't ask you to do when you start your Airbnb listing. So under house manual, you're going to see quite a long list here. Is a little hard to read, a little cumbersome, but unfortunately Airbnb doesn't give me the ability to put nice pictures in here or format it or anything like that. But it's better to have something in there than to have nothing in there. So I'm going to go ahead and keep moving down here. Right below that, you see you have Guidebook. I'm going to go into a little more detail about that, about the content of the welcome book. But this Guidebook is something that's pretty cool that Airbnb recently came out with that you can see right here. It allows you to create these guidebooks that are tied to your Airbnb account. So my listings are in Steamboat Springs. So you can see here that I've added some food scene, essentials, entertainment activities, etc. It's really easy to use to add a place. You just search for something. So if I'm looking for laundry, Steamboat Springs, you can see laundry comes up on 11th Street. I go ahead and click that. It brings up a picture for me. All I have to do is basically enter in why I recommend this place. So super easy. Right below that, who would enjoy this place, what makes it special, and then what category do you want it to go into. Super easy to use. If you're not going to do a welcome book for your guests, I highly recommend you do this. If you are going to do a welcome book for your guest, I still highly recommend that you do this. The reason is your guests are looking for information. Sometimes they're going to look on Airbnb, sometimes they're going to look on your guidebook. And this also will help your rankings with Airbnb, because they basically see you as being more dedicated because you're putting in the extra time to add this information. All right, so once you finish this, I'm going to go ahead and say continue, and then we're going to see what this looks like. Oops. Preview and print. So you can see what this will look like for the guest. It's pretty slick. You see the map. You can click on the various items, see the picture, Old Town Hot Springs, and then from there you can click straight into your info about it. They can see a bunch of pictures and then go from there. So pretty awesome stuff. All right, so other than the guidebook, we're going to go back to our Airbnb listing here. We're going to go back to the top, and we're going to look at our booking settings. This is all stuff that you should have gone through in your initial setup. How can your guest book? Do we require a government-issued ID? What are your house rules, etc.? I'm not going to go through each of these individually, but we're going to go to the next page, which is pricing. And Airbnb does have a smart pricing system. So we're going to go through a little more of the details of this once we get into our pricing discussion. But know that there is a smart pricing system. So if you want to just try theirs and see how it goes, you're welcome to. I feel like in general, their pricing is good for them in the sense that they get more bookings, but it's not always at the highest rate. So that's why I like to use a different pricing program. You do need to set your base price, and then you can set all of these discounts here. Personally, I have a weekly discount of 12% and a monthly discount of 18%. Don't ask me how I came up with those numbers. Over time, you'll change these as you see reservations come in. I don't have an exact science, but it seems like it's worked well for me. The benefits of doing long-term rentals is you have less turnover, you have less cleanings, so your cleaning fees go down, and you also don't have those random 1 or 2 night gaps that you have a hard time filling. So it is worthwhile, in my opinion, to do that. If you want to, you can also set early bird discounts, last minute discounts, etc. The big thing that Airbnb doesn't tell you is cleaning fee. So when you launch and you say go live, and there's no cleaning fee on there. So before you really get ready to go, make sure you pop in here and throw in a cleaning fee. So I have mine set at $140. I basically just pass on the exact amount that my cleaners charge me to clean my place. People do it a lot of different ways. You can charge an extra $10 if you want to account for toilet paper and other essentials that you put in the unit. You can charge less if you think that makes you more competitive. It's really up to you. So the one other thing that's a little weird on here is security deposit. So for the past year and a half, I've had a security deposit listed on here. And what I realized through some discussions online with other folks is Airbnb doesn't take a security deposit. So you can put in a number in here, but they don't actually take that money. So just be aware that's kind of a feel-good thing for you. Airbnb doesn't actually take that money. It's not, if you submit a claim, you don't automatically get that money. Airbnb does have a pretty good system for getting the guests to pay you if they damage your property, but just be aware that security deposit is not something you can access and take if there is an issue. It's still a situation where you reach out to the guest, ask them to pay for it, and Airbnb will step in with their $1 million policy if something really big and catastrophic happens and the guest is not going to take care of it. All right. Any questions so far on where we are here?
Does the security deposit show up on your listing?
It does not. The question was, does the security deposit show up on your listing? Unfortunately, it doesn't show up anywhere. And Eric and I did a test of this yesterday. We tried to book a property. I was looking at this page where it showed the security deposit. He was trying to book the property, and you get that little box that pops up with your info. Absolutely nothing about it. Yeah. So
is it legally binding?
It's not legally binding because the guest doesn't see it. They don't do anything. To be honest, I don't know why it's still there. I think it was something they used to do and now they don't. So just be aware of that. Extra guests is another fee to think about. I like to charge $20 over the number of guests that can sleep in a bed. So if I have a queen bed and a king bed in my property, I'm going to say 4 guests are included as part of my rate. And then if they want to bring someone who's going to sleep on the couch, on an air bed, on a pull-out couch, any of those things, I charge extra for that. That seems to have worked well for me. I just took a reservation yesterday. We have a listing that I manage that allows for 8 people, but only 4 people can sleep in beds. This person booked with 7 people. They booked for 10 days. So we're talking an extra $600 in guest fees for this person. I decided to give them a little break on the price because I felt like, geez, that's a lot of extra money. So I only charge them about $350 for that. But it is something to think about because it is extra wear and tear on your place. All right, so let's go back to the top here. Availability. Obviously, this is super important because you need to make sure that once you go live on Airbnb, you're ready to take a reservation. So I think we discussed most of this on our last webinar. I'm not going to go through it too carefully, but be aware that that advance notice is how soon to the reservation someone can book. So if I have 1 day's notice in there, a person can book with me for tomorrow. They can't book with me for today. That's a big one that people don't realize. If you set that for no notice necessary, someone can book your place at 11:59 p.m. and expect to check in that night. So just be aware of that. Minimum stays, maximum stays, really up to you how you want to format all of these things. Your check-in window. One big thing to realize is there is a sync calendars feature. So if you are listing on both Airbnb and VRBO, for example, make sure that your calendars are synced. This sync that they allow here is called an iCal sync. What that is a feed that refreshes every so often. I can't tell you for sure how often. Most people say about every 30 minutes. But it is possible to still get double bookings if you're using an iCal feed. There are a lot of companies that offer an API calendar sync, and that's going to be a direct sync that happens instantaneously. So just be aware of that as you get going. My recommendation is start on one listing platform like Airbnb, then jump to VRBO once you're fairly comfortable with Airbnb. All right, we're going to go back to the top here. Local laws. We do have a link to an article discussing this topic from our website. Know that local laws are very, very confusing, and they vary from location to location. For example, we have a lot of people here attending via webinar from Colorado Springs, and we have people attending from Denver. Denver, you have to have a primary occupancy. So you have to live there and you have to claim it as your primary residence. In Colorado Springs, there is no such requirement. You can go down there, purchase a duplex, rent both sides of the duplex to anybody you want for any length of time, and it's no problem. We are working on some forms with links and everything. Denver, for example, has about 15 different municipalities, and they all have different regulations. So hopefully we'll have that available on our website soon for you. If you have any specific questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're fairly comfortable with most of the regulations, but if we don't know, we can definitely find it very quickly for you. So the last tab on this is co-hosts. What a co-host is basically anyone that helps you with your listing. So Eric and I co-host 3 listings for people up in Steamboat. What we do is basically manage all of the reservation processes. We created a guidebook for them, and we interact with the cleaners so that they know when to go clean the property. So it's a very simple thing. A co-host can do anything from help you set up a property to clean your property to manage your reservations. It's basically just a term for someone who's going to be able to help you, and they will be able to see some of the information that you allow them to see from your Airbnb account. They will not be able to access your payment details or anything like that, so don't worry, they're not going to suddenly steal your money or anything like that. All right. Any questions about going live on Airbnb, this portion? Anything come in through our chat?
Not anything yet.
Okay, cool. I'm going to go ahead and launch another poll real quick here. All right. I'm going to share the results from that first poll. All right.
Question.
Yes.
I've never heard of VRB. What is the effectiveness of hosting on Airbnb?
So the question was, he hadn't heard of VRBO, and what is the reasoning behind listing on VRBO versus Airbnb? I also launched this second poll, so if you don't mind, go ahead and answer those questions so that we can tailor this information to you. So to answer your question about VRBO, VRBO is another hosting platform very similar to Airbnb. It actually started long before Airbnb did. VRBO stands for Vacation Rentals by Owner. And it's been online, gosh, I want to say 20, 25 years. But Airbnb has become the industry leader. So if you're going to choose one, in my opinion, I would choose Airbnb. Some vacation rental spots like mountain towns or beach towns, things like that, they have a big VRBO presence because it's been around for so long. So in cities, I would say Airbnb is by far the most popular, but sometimes in those vacation spots, you will see that VRBO is a leader in a certain area. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and let this poll marinate while we go into our next topic here. So we are going to discuss property. Oops, geez, I launched the wrong one. Anyways, we'll use this and we'll go into our next topic. Sorry about that, guys. Technical glitches, but anyways, we are interested in whether you are using this property management software. So go ahead and answer that poll, and we'll get to the next one in just a second. All right. So we discussed the guidebooks here on Airbnb, and this is our guidebook on Airbnb. We use a company that is called Hostfully. They're at hostfully.com, and they offer an all-in-one solution for a welcome book. This is something that you can send out as a link, and it's also something that you can print and have available in your property. So I'm not going to go through all of the functionality of this program because it will take us a little too long. But basically, you can put a picture, choose your location. You have different cards, and that's how this whole thing is built, is basically built on a card system. So each one of these where it says check-in card, directions card, parking card, these are cards that you can customize to each listing. If you have listings that use the same card, then you can use those for multiple guidebooks. So we'll go through a couple of these cards here. Let's look at the Wi-Fi card, for example. I'm going to edit. And so I've labeled this card Wi-Fi Alpenglow Chateau. That's the name of my property. You can see I have the Alpenglow Chateau password there. And then I have a brief description of if you have difficulties with your Wi-Fi, call our managers. You can also try to reset the system. And then you can choose which guidebooks this applies to. So this is only for my Alpenglow Chateau listing. So I've selected just that listing. Overall, this is a very easy to use platform. And that's why I'm not going to go through every single card with you, because it is basically, click, enter your information, hit save, and everything ends up in the right place. So I'll show you one more card here. Maybe. There we go. So this is our TV instructions card. I have quite a bit of information for my guests. I assume that they may not know how to use something. The best way I can describe this is pretend your 75-year-old mother or your 85-year-old grandmother is staying at your property. If there's anything they're not going to understand without looking at something, put it in your guidebook. So my mom is really bad with technology. I think she's on listening, so I'm hoping that she gets that info. But she doesn't know, she doesn't know how to do FaceTime on her phone. She wouldn't know the difference between a text message and an instant message and things like that. So anything that's complicated, put it in your guidebook. So live TV is available through YouTube TV. So I have a smart TV in my properties. Instead of going the cable route, I decided to use YouTube TV. The reason for this is I pay for one subscription and I get 3 TVs connected to it. So as opposed to cable, where my 3 different properties would take 3 different cable subscriptions, I only have to pay for one. So the weird thing about this is that there's a YouTube TV app and there's a YouTube app. They look exactly the same, except one says TV after the little red play icon. So that's something I want to make sure that my guests understand. Otherwise, I'm going to get a lot of calls about it, and they're not going to know what to do. So I go ahead and spell that out really simply in this guidebook so that they can see what it is. Again, then I click the specific listings that this applies to. You can see that this applies to 2 of my listings because all of those units have that same TV in there. All right, so that first part that we looked at there, the TV instructions, those are called house manual cards. So those are any kind of information cards that you want for, how to use anything in your property. Make sure you take out the trash, it's around the back of the building, etc., things like that. Just below that, you're going to see recommendation cards. So this works very similar to the way that Airbnb guidebook worked, where you can type in the name of the various places that you want. It populates in the address. You can put in a little reason why you like it, and then your guests will see it on a nice piece of paper. There's also a bunch of stuff at the bottom here. You can have an introduction. You can choose a theme, and you can even choose your own URL for this. So this one is Alpenglow Chateau because that's the name of the property. One other cool thing that they have going now was actually awarded VRMA product of the year is they have a voice service available now. So you can connect a Alexa device or a Google Home device, and basically it'll import all the information that's in this guidebook into your Alexa or your Google Home, and it will answer questions like you were there. If you say, hey Alexa, what's the Wi-Fi password? It'll know, and it'll tell your guests what the Wi-Fi password is. So pretty cool. You know, I'm not 100% sure if people think that's weird or if people think that's awesome. So it's up to you whether you think that's great or not. I actually haven't tried it yet. I'm hoping to try it on my new listing that I'm putting together in Lakewood. So let's see here. Let's take a look at the final product. So this is what the final product looks like. So on the left-hand side, and just so you know, this works great on a cell phone or on your desktop computer. But initially, what they're going to see is this little welcome information from you. They have all the different categories that they can look at on the left-hand side. So they can see the arrival instructions, getting here with a Google Map link, current weather, etc. And then if it will let me go back to the top, there we go. And then you have across the top your house manual, your departure information, places to eat, bars, attractions, other. If you want to see all of them, you click that all button. It shows you your picture. You can click on that. It shows you where it is in relation to the property. And then if you want to visit the website, you go ahead and just click visit website. It takes you right to their website, see the hours, see what happy hour specials, etc., and go from there. So it's a pretty slick product. I'm going to show you a PDF version of this as well. So this is what we print and put into our units. My mouse is not loving me. There we go. So this is what it looks like. You have a nice title page, even has a QR code on it. So if they get to the property and they haven't looked at this yet, they can just scan that QR code and then have that with them as they go through town and they're looking for a recommendation or whatever. So same information here. You can add pictures. So for example, our parking situation at this property is a little weird. So you can see I added a photo and put a little line down the middle saying you park on this side, you park on that side. So it's a pretty cool book. I think it helps us a lot cut down on the number of emails and phone calls that we get from our guests. And once you start hosting, you'll realize that every interaction that takes 5 minutes, it ends up adding up. And over the course of a day, if you have someone, text you or email you 3 or 4 times, it starts to feel like, geez, this is kind of a job. I'm having to do a lot of work. And my goal is to answer everyone's questions before they have to reach out to me. 1, because it's easier for them, and 2, because it's easier for me. One other thing that we do for all of our properties is we create this little sheet here, and this has 2 on the sheet. But your most important information that you want your guests to know, put on a separate sheet and then put it on a magnet on the fridge, because your guests are going to open the fridge at some point while they're there. So this is something that you can pretty much guarantee they're going to see. So, quick welcome, have a great stay, relax. And most important, what are the phone numbers they need? So we have a local and after hours contact. It's our cleaner and property manager. We do all of the reservations. We take care of all the questions, but they're available 24 hours a day because they live 3 doors down from our property, and I live 3 hours away from my property. So a lot easier for them to run over and help with something than it is for me. So the first thing I put on there is the phone numbers. Right after that, prompt them to that welcome book that you have. So are you looking for recommendations, the Wi-Fi code, unsure of anything? Go to our guidebook. It's probably there. And then we have a few things in here about what do we expect of them. So the most important thing is I want my guests to tell me if something's wrong. It really sucks if you have a guest stay with you and you think everything went swimmingly and then you get this 1 or 2 star review. The reason that happens is because they didn't think that anyone wanted to know about that. So I ask. So in an email I send out to them and in this, it says, please let us know if something's not right. Let us fix it for you. And sometimes that might be giving them a little money back. Sometimes that's just fixing the problem. Sometimes it's bringing them a bottle of wine, whatever it takes to make it right. And then the other things that I have on there, remove your shoes, dispose of your trash, leave beds unmade, dirty towels on the floor, and run the dishwasher. Those are the important things for my cleaners to be able to quickly and efficiently get through the property. So that's why I have those things on there. And I've actually gone through a little evolution with my cleaners where they asked me to add this information because they thought people should know this, but they don't. So if there's anything you want your guests to know, ask them, tell them, put it somewhere where they see it. Cool. All right, so let's take a quick look at that poll. All right, so we have one that says, yes, they love their property management software. We have 6 that say they're interested. We have 1 that says, yes, they wish there was something better out there. And 1 uses SmartBnB. All the others, I'm guessing, are not using a software. So I'm going to go ahead and end that poll and show you the software that we use. All right, I'm sharing the results with you. And we're going to stop that. So I'm going to launch this next one, which should have been the one I did before. Do you have a welcome book at your property? So go ahead and answer that one. And I'm going to go through our software. Quick sip of water. All right. So the software we use is called SmartBnB. The reason I'm going to show you this one is because I feel like it's the best bang for your buck on the market. There's a lot of other softwares out there that do more and that maybe have more features, but you're going to end up paying $500 a month or $1,000 a month for them. This one is very economical. I believe your first 2 listings are something like $14 or $20 a month. So even if you only have 1 listing, this is a very worthwhile thing to purchase. So I'm going to run you through just a couple of quick features here. As you can see on my dashboard, it shows me my check-ins coming in, my checkouts going out, and my future messages. So if there's anything I need to edit or be aware of, it's right there on my dashboard. Your inbox, pretty self-explanatory. I think I have too many windows open. Anyways, so my inbox here, this is basically the same thing that you would see from Airbnb, but it's now all in one place. So for example, for me, I have those 10 listings all on my account. Sometimes it's nice for me to be on here and be able to interact with my guests and see all the other information that I need to about it. Did the email go out to my cleaner to tell them to clean? Who else is staying in the property so I can look at my calendar, stuff like that. So you'll find that you may cycle back and forth between Airbnb and this if you decide to use it. The smart calendar, I think, is a really great view of your property. It has a bunch of different views: day, next 7 days, or your month. So for me, I can see my whole month at a glance, which is really awesome when you have multiple properties. But even if you only have 1 property, it's really cool to see, like, for example, right here, what happened? Looks like I have a double booking. Actually, this one canceled. But it's really nice to see all in one screen what's going on with your properties. The other cool thing about this is they are connected to VRBO and HomeAway. So if you want to sync between the two, they have an API connection, and you're able to see your listings on here. So for example, you can see I have Opre 1 bed on Airbnb, and then right below that, I have Opre 1 bed on HomeAway. So this is cool. Even if you just have that one listing, you can double check that I didn't have a double booking between my two properties.
Do you want to quickly explain what an API is and why that's important?
Yes. So an API is basically a direct connection between two softwares. So I don't know how to explain this super simply. You have a better explanation, Eric?
Basically, it allows the software to talk to each other. So as soon as something happens on your Airbnb listing, it's imported into here, which is also connected to your VRBO or HomeAway listing. So it basically is really efficient in blocking off your calendar with other sites and makes it so there's no delay in that information getting to where it needs to go.
Right. And you'll actually hear the term API used in a lot more than just calendar syncs. API is actually a term used just for a software link between two different softwares, basically. So if someone else says that their, Google Calendar has an API to something else, they're not crazy. They do probably have an API for something else. It's basically just a direct link between two softwares that has been developed. This is my favorite feature of this program. It's called Metrics, and Metrics shows you all the info about your property in one place in super cool graphs. And let's see if I can get it to click. And try and come back to it. I think it's loading. Give it a sec. There we go. All right. So metrics homepage. So on my homepage, I can see number of conversations that I've had, number of guests that have stayed during this time period, my revenue coming in, my overall rating on Airbnb. So at a glance, I see super quickly what is going on with my property. There are tons of different graphs and things that you can explore here. I'm not going to go through all of these, but just know that basically any information that has come from Airbnb is accessible in here in graph form and exportable to Excel or anything else that you would like. Super valuable information to make good decisions about what should I do for my property next. So I see that my occupancy is low. Maybe I should lower my prices. Or I see that I'm getting low reviews on value. Maybe I need to lower my price or increase the amenities that I'm offering at my property, etc. Right below that is listings. The other really cool feature, and I think the most valuable feature about this software, is messaging. So messaging is, automating your messaging is the best hack to Airbnb in your life. I did a quick look at at one of my listings yesterday, and there were 50 inbound messages in the past month. So 50 times that someone either made a reservation or had a question for me. Probably 35 to 40 of those were people making reservations or something like that. This program automatically took care of it for me. I didn't have to do a thing. The other 10 to 15 of those, probably about half of them were answered by the questions feature on here, which is an AI, artificial intelligence module that they have on here. So for example, if someone asks, what is the Wi-Fi code? It's super easy for this program to automatically send them a response back. or can I get an early check-in? My response is always the same. Why should I have to send that response? I'm going to say, unfortunately, we can't promise an early check-in, but if you want to call our cleaner 2 days before, we'd like to accommodate you if possible. So there's no reason that I should have to send that. So anyways, you can see on here, for each guest that books, I actually send out 5 messages. So they get 1 confirming their booking. So you can see here, there's a list of a bunch of different things. So new booking inquiry. That goes out automatically if someone inquires and they haven't made a reservation yet. So they get a message that says, "Hi, Jane," and their name is automatically populated in there. "Thanks for your interest. It is still available. Here's what you need to do to book." Once they do go ahead and book, I send out this new reservation email. So let's take a look at that, for example. So it says, "Hello, guest first name." So anything you see in those percent marks, in between those percent marks, means that the program is populating that from what's called a short code. So I'm going to click on this short code link. Those are all the options of things that I can put in there. So I've got quite a few options of things that I can add in here, and it covers pretty much the gamut of anything that you would want to put in your message. So, "Hello, first name, and thanks for your reservation. I wanted to confirm your reservation at listing name starting on check-in," so that's my date, "for a certain number of nights with however many guests." This answers is actually something that's tied to that question section. So for example, we allow pets. So something that often happens is someone books a reservation and they say, "I'm coming with myself, my husband, my daughter, and our dog." Anytime they say dog, they're going to get a message populated in here where it says answers that says, "We love hosting pets. Here's our rules for having your pet at our property. They're not allowed on the furniture. You need to pick up after them," etc. If they ask that question about early check-in, they'll get that information right there. So this is one of those things that will just make your life so easy, because instead of having to answer 50 questions and sending out those 5 emails to each of those people yourself, this program now does all of it for you. So I even have my guidebook populated in here, and all of that. So it's really easy to use. They actually pre-populate in some pretty good templates in there. So if you don't know what to do to start, just use their template, and then as you start getting questions in, you can change it and make it more customized to what you want to do. So I'm going to go back to that messaging page. So this questions page is that AI module. So you can see I have early check-in, late checkout, discount requests, pets, Wi-Fi. All of those are things that will automatically go out. At the bottom here, you can see all the times that those went out. So just in the last few days, like 10 questions have come in and gone out with those answers. So reservations, these are those other 4 emails that I'm sending out. So like I said, the things that I send out is a reservation confirmation. I do that upon booking. Check-in instructions, I send that out 2 days before arrival. If you send it out closer to arrival, you will find that a lot of guests will reach out to you and say, "I still haven't received the door code. I don't know where your property is," etc. So you'll find a sweet spot is usually 2 to 3 days out. Settled in email, that goes out 4 hours after check-in. So this is, again, that email that I send out that says, "Is everything 5 stars? If it's not, please reach out to me. Please reach out to my property manager. Let us know what's not 5 stars." That alleviates that 1-star review coming up later. Then they get checkout instructions the evening before checkout. So that's going to go into those details of please run the dishwasher when you leave, take out the trash. And then I send a review request 3 days after checkout, and that only goes out if they haven't already written a review. So Airbnb automatically sends out a request for a review. I think it's about 4 hours after checkout time, and both sides need to review the property. So one of the other cool features about this is that this will automatically write a review for you. So I have 3 templates in here of typical reviews that I would write. This is something that you can edit at any time. So if someone was actually a bad guest, I have 2 days after checkout to change this review before it gets posted for them. One other really cool thing that happens with SmartBnB is they allow you to flag something as a possible bad review. So the way reviews work is you have 14 days to review each other. So your guest reviews you, you review your guest. Anytime that happens within 14 days, when both happen, it posts. If either side doesn't review within the 14 days, then at 14 days, the side that did review will post. So one thing that's really cool is you can flag a bad review. So if someone calls you and says, hey, this place was not clean, I hate you, whatever, you can flag it and say, this is a bad review. If they were a bad guest, I can obviously edit their review as well, but that review is not going to post until 3 minutes before that 14 days hits. So I'm still going to post a review about that person, but in the meantime, I may have had 3 or 4 other people stay in my property. So those good reviews are going to show up on top of those because they're in chronological order. So my hope is that if I'm going to get a 3-star review, it's already on the second page by the time it posts. This is an amazing hack that, it's incredible because when I used to run hotels, there was no option for something like this. And we would get a bad review and we wouldn't book a reservation for 2 weeks because you have this bad review sitting right at the top and everyone reads it and they read how bad it is. And most of the time people are being unreasonable when they write a bad review. So, obviously if things are bad, write a bad review, but I feel like I offer my guests great value. If there's a problem, I take care of it. I feel like most people that are here that are trying to learn are probably in the same boat. All right. So let's see. The other thing I forgot to mention, team. So this will automatically send an email to my cleaner when I get a new reservation as well. So instead of me having to text my cleaner, hey, I have a new reservation, again, automated, it's done. She just replies back to me and says confirmed. I know that everything's set. So pretty cool program. I'm not going to go into the rest of the details. If you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out or join that owners group and we'll be happy to go into the details there. All right. So the last thing, let's see, let's look at our poll. Poll. There it is. All right. No one voted. Okay. We'll just end the poll. We're not going to worry about that one. Oh, never mind. People did vote. Didn't show up on my screen. We have 3 yeses that have a welcome book and 12 no's. So if you're interested in that Hostfully program, I forgot to mention that your first guidebook through them is free. So you don't even have to pay a dime to use that service. I think to be able to use your own branded logo or a link or something like that, then you have to pay for it. If you have 2 or more properties, then you pay for it. But it's very inexpensive. I think I pay $20 a month for 5 books through them. So it's not a big deal. All right, let's move on to our next poll. Do you use a smart pricing program? All right, I'm gonna let that marinate. And I will show you the pricing program that we like to use. So first of all, why use a pricing program? I don't know if you've ever thought about all the changes in pricing that you might want to make. But for example, just think of all the holidays throughout the year. Anytime you have a 3-day weekend, Christmas, Thanksgiving, maybe there's a festival in town, or maybe there's something that you didn't know about, but for some reason there's a whole bunch of places booked. What a pricing program does is it looks at all of that data, and it has an algorithm that automatically changes your price. So if everyone's at 90% occupancy and I still have a room available, it's going to up my price a little bit so that I get a little bit higher dollar value because I'm one of the last places left. If no one's booking reservations, it's going to lower my price. The cool thing about it is you can set a whole bunch of specifics about it. So I'm going to show you just the first page of this. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. There we go. So these are all of my listings. If I want to see the details of any of these listings, I can go ahead and click Review Prices. And it's going to show me the calendar and what my prices are for each of those listings. The reason we chose this program is because it's a fixed fee per month. So it's a per listing fee per month. The more listings you have, the more that price goes down. But a lot of these pricing programs charge you 1% of your bookings. So when I started out, I signed up for one of those programs and I thought 1%, that's hardly anything. Well, you know, after a few months, I realized I was booking like $8,000 or $10,000 a month in bookings. That adds up pretty fast. You know, I realized that I was writing them a pretty big check every month. So this pricing program is $19.99 for your first listing, and then it goes down from there. So I think 2 through 4 is like $15 a month, et cetera, et cetera. So I decided this was a better value for me. Obviously, a pricing program is going to make you a lot more money than it's going to cost you. And the reason for that is it has all of that algorithm built into it. So if it's going to take you a couple hours a month to change your prices, that $20 a month is probably worth it. But this allows me a whole bunch of customizations. The first thing you're going to see here is, let's go ahead and scroll to the next month so we can see a little more. But you can see that we have all of these prices in here. The reason most of these are the same is because I have a minimum of $110. So I told the program I don't want to go below that $110 mark, and that's why you're seeing most of these at $110. If I look at a different listing, we'll probably see that there's a lot more variation in the price. So each day could be $2 or $3 different. And if you add that up over the month, instead of charging $75, one day you charge $76, one day you charge $78. If you add that up over the month, you easily pay for this program. So for example, this one, you can see there's quite a bit more variation, you know, 83, 90, 85, 109, 120, etc. Biggest question we get on pricing is, how do I choose my price? Obviously, it's hard to know. So there are some cool resources out there. I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple of them. This first one is called Elliot and Me. It's actually just got purchased by Airbnb. That's why you see it's Elliot and Airbnb at the top now. But this one, basically you enter your address in, 3087 Owens Court in Lakewood, Colorado. And it brings up some basic information for you. So it's telling me about Great American Beer Fest is a time where people are booking a lot. You can charge more for that week. Average daily rate right here says $221. So that could potentially be your base price for your listing. If things aren't right on there, you can change it. This says 3 beds, 2 baths. It's actually a 4-bed, 3-bath property. So I'd want to change that and get the right information. So that's Elliot and me. Another one is called AirDNA. This is kind of a market leader in Airbnb and VRBO information. You can start with the basics here and say, same thing, I want 3087 Owens Court, Lakewood, Colorado. I change my beds to 4 beds, 3 baths, and it accommodates 8 people. Analyze your property. You can do this for free. Wants me to sign up for an account. There it goes. It does want you to create an account, but it's free. So anyways, it brings up the information. There's the picture. There's what my annual revenue should be. So average daily rate, or ADR, is something that you'll hear referred to. That's essentially what you want your base rate to be, is your average daily rate that you charge someone. So you add up all the days over the year and you divide by the number of days you booked. That's your average daily rate. So this, you can see, only gives me a small amount of information, but there's a whole bunch of more information here if you subscribe. So that's their way to get you in there and get some more money. For Denver proper, I believe it's $99 for the Denver information. I think if you get more localized than that, it goes down to like $20. So if you're in a pocket of Denver, you can say, I want to know about Sloan's Lake, or I want to know about whatever. Same thing in Colorado Springs. I think it starts at $99 and then it goes down from there if you get more localized. So it is a good resource. This Rentalizer, like I said, is free to get this basic info. The other great resource is just go on Airbnb. Look around your address, see what other people are charging, and make a guess. Put that in to start, and pretty soon you'll know whether you're on or not. So when we go back to Price Labs here, they do have some base price help here. So if you click that link, it will explain to you how to come up with that base price. And they do actually have a graph on here as well that shows you some basics. So you can see number of listings in each price range, occupancy, price trends. So this is another great resource to use. Up at the top here, you can choose the number of bedrooms. If you just want to see 2-bedroom units, what is the price range? So if I looked at this, I might say, okay, about 200 is my midpoint for a 2-bedroom unit. I'm going to go with 200 and see how that goes. And you can always adjust this whenever your fancy suits you. Your low, the way I like to think about it is, if I get a booking for less than this, I'm disappointed that I rented my place. Your high is kind of on the other side of that, where you're saying, I'm embarrassed that I charged more than this amount. So think of Christmas, Christmas night, like most busy day of the year, or whatever it is for your area. And I'm embarrassed that I charged that amount. Don't go above that. For the most part, my highest number that I put in there, it never gets anywhere near there. I'm setting my base price to be fair, and we should never hit that price. So just a little bit to think about with that. There are a ton of customizations with this. I'm going to go through just some real basics. So I have all of my listings customized the same way, which saves me a lot of time. Every time I add a new listing, I don't have to start over. But we will take a look here. So we have last minute prices. I have it set to gradually go down to a 35% discount within 14 days. So if I have anything available 14 days, on the 14th day, it's my normal price. On the 13th day, it's like 32%, it's 98% of my normal price, et cetera, and it goes down to that 35% discount. Orphan day prices are similar in the sense that if there are gaps in my calendar more than 2 days, I can add a discount. So I'm going to incentivize people to book those gap days. Minimum stays. I highly recommend that you do a minimum stay on your property. The reason for this is if you take a one-night booking 3 months from now on a Saturday, you're probably not going to book Friday night, and you're probably not going to book Sunday night. So you've lost out on the revenue for that whole weekend just by booking that one night. So especially further out, I would say put in those minimum nights, make them higher if you feel like you can. If you're targeting that longer, if you have a washer and dryer in your unit and you have all the amenities that someone would want for a 2-week stay, why not up your minimum nights a little bit, try and get those longer stays, offer them a little discount to stay longer. Minimum stay for last minute bookings. So this is something to now fill those if I haven't gotten a booking. So my minimum nights are going to go down to 2 within 15 days of that reservation. Same thing, minimum stay for far out bookings is I want it to be a 4-night minimum for all days outside of 60 days. So basically all of these are customizations that you can do. One other thing that I do recommend putting in here, and this is something I customize individually by the listing, that's why you're not seeing it here, is a minimum far out pricing. The reason for that is sometimes these algorithms are not smart really far out. So if someone wants to book a festival, say Great American Beer Festival, but they're booking for next summer, not this summer, my algorithm may not be smart enough to realize that. And most people aren't booking that far out, but the ones that are, I'm going to set a minimum far out pricing to make sure that I don't go below something and book something a year out and then realize, oh, that was 4th of July weekend. I should have got $400 a night and I got 100. So just a few little tips on that. It's a great program. Again, if you have any questions, happy to answer them now. Happy to go through anything on our owners group or on our Facebook page. Any questions?
For some reason, the chat might not be going through. The program's called Price Labs, and I put a link in the chat to Price Labs directly. I'm not sure I believe it's Shelly. Not sure if you're seeing that, but I did send that in the chat. And Price Labs is the program name.
So yeah, any other questions we can answer? We're getting kind of close to the end here. We're going to wrap things up. So we'll open it up to any questions that anybody has about anything, and we'll go from there. Take a quick look at this poll, see where we're at. For some reason, it doesn't like me. There it is. All right. So we have 1 that uses a smart pricing program, 9 that are interested, and 1 that likes to keep things simple. That's okay too. We understand that. So this is a resource to use if you want to. If you don't, we totally get that. Sometimes it's nice just to know that your rate is $80 a night every night, no matter what. I'm going to share those results.
See if you got any questions direct to you.
Sure. Let's take a look, see if there's any questions here. All right. Looks like for the most part, we got everything in here. Let's see. Lee, thanks for providing the PDF to follow along with. Hey, you're welcome. Hopefully it makes it a little easier to get through this. Looks like we do have a question about the cost for Smart B&B. I think it is approximately $20 for 2 listings to start. I don't believe they have a price for 1 listing, but in my opinion, well worth that $20. And it just makes your life so much easier. Anyone else there that is looking for something answered before we sign off? We will send out a quick survey and we'd like your feedback from that. Let us know if you liked the webinar format, if you prefer to meet in person. This is something that we're new to as well, so we're hoping to get your feedback and continue to get better every time. So I hope this was valuable for you, and we will talk to you later unless anyone has more questions. All right. I am going to sign off. Thank you everybody for attending. And we're going to try and do this again next month. We'll send out an email with those details.